Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome back to round 6 of our Season 4 Invitational. I am PresBOTW, and I am joined here by the wonderful Oliver V. How are you?
This is so fantastic right now. So I love the greatest thing about our invitationals is the narratives that we get to put together. And man, do we have a narrative for y'all right now. So we have Malfi back for the first time for the first invitational since the first one in season 1. Loses the first round to Wrath. Gets to go climb up all the way through the bottom bracket to hit Rax again in this sneak and show matchup. One that Malfi was absolutely dreading going into this, just so we're clear. And then the best part of this is if he gets to conquer Rax, if he gets to get redemption, he gets to play sneak and show again for the finals of the bottom bracket before being able to go on to the finals for the entire bracket altogether. I'm so excited for this game so much.
Of note, and another thing as well, every single invitational so far, the person who has always made the finals has always lost the very first round of the event.
That's true. So in our first season 1 invitational, Malfi himself, playing colorless post at the time, lost in round 1 and made it all the way up through the losers bracket to make it to the final match. The second one was yours truly, lost in the final match. The third one was Champagne, who made it all the way up to win and actually take down the entire tournament.
Yeah,
and
bracket reset.
we might be able to see that happen again if Malfi's able to take down these two sneak and show players, going up against. I mean, honestly, let's be very clear: two very formidable sneak and show players. Rax has been on this deck for an incredibly long time. Tensai is just prolific in every single deck. Won the season 2 invitational with this deck. It is a massive hurdle to go over, but me, with my love of narratives that come up with these tournaments, I'm honestly rooting for it, to be totally honest. Of note, also, it should be said, this version of Sneak and Show is a little different than the ones that we've been seeing up until now. We've really been seeing Tensai play with his green splash with like main board veils and carpet flowers in the sideboard. There is none of that with Rax's list. Rax is playing the good old-fashioned version complete with Simian spirit guides and no omnisciences in this list. On the other hand, Malfi, a little bit advantaged with this. Malfi was going into the preparation for this tournament, knowing that he would be facing Rax in the very beginning. And Rax, also known to be kind of all over the place with decks, Deaths and Taxes, Sneak and Show, a few other things. But I think it was very expected that he would be going up against Sneak and Show in that first round. And you can see that his sideboard is absolutely stacked for it. He has the carpets, he has Flusterstorms, Veils, Containment Priests, meddling mage even, and so he just has so many tools to work with. Of course, I do have to say I think Rax is absolutely favored for this game 1. I think that Rax is going to absolutely steamroll it, but we'll have to see what happens. Do you think anything's off on that? You think anything's wrong with those perceptions?
I think that sounds about right. I do think that Malfi has the potential to just keep going depending on how much counter magic Rax has. But at the same time, just before I forget, I also want to mention, if Rax wins this as well, round 1 of our season 2 invitational was Tensai versus Rax on the sickest sneak and show mirror I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's so true. I didn't even think about that. Chaotic Bear, really good catch. And Prez, no, you're so right. Now all of a sudden, I am spoiled for choices. No matter what, we have an amazing narrative in front of us. So,
it doesn't matter who wins this match. We got a good
I
story.
guess now my hand's up in the air, and it's just, let's watch a fantastic match of Magic. No matter what, we got a good old one coming for us.
Oh, yeah.
Malfi not putting any pressure in play, not going with the turn 1 Dork, which is, of course, the start that you want on Foodchain, just be able to get some mana acceleration. Seems like Malfi is really just trying to hold up interaction. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an Ice Fang Quaddle flashed in, or Manipulate Fate just being held up, just because you got to play around days when when you're playing with your best card, which is what Manipulate Fate really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can totally get behind that, too. And it looks like we're just, if in Rax's position, we're just crafting our hand here. And
I mean, there is no clock on you.
No, none. And I also just want to stress this too, the differences between Rax's and Tensai's build. Rax is running Simian Spirit Guides, Brazen Borrower, and then has, I believe, Ragavens in the sideboard. Yeah, no main deck Ragavens, whereas Tensai is the other way around. As Lotus Petals is the only fast mana, but does have the Ragavens in the main, which has proven very powerful.
Monkey be real good. Monkey be very, very good.
Yeah.
Again,
looks like
calling
Malfi
back
does
to 2
have
matches ago.
Malfi does have perfect brainstorm on end step here, though.
That is quite good. It should be stated also that Malfi's version that he's on of Foodchain, it not being so combo heavy, and like we previously talked about, only not having the recruiters, only having a single walking ballista, you need to do the mid-range beatdown plan the vast majority of the time, which does make this matchup a lot harder for you.
Absolutely. Hmm. Yeah, what exactly do you want to be seeing here? Because you have no board state. Are you just hoping to start getting a Codal out, or are you just hoping to jam a food chain here and then next turn just go off?
So you need to get bodies in play. I wouldn't necessarily jam the food chain on turn 3 with no other bodies on board, especially when you know that Rax is playing a deck with dazes, right? Where
True.
typically Rax wants to be spending that mana for protecting what they themselves are doing. But you can't just walk into it and make it that free. I really would like Malfi to either play manipulate fate here or start getting bodies on board. Uh, at the same time, though, we are at that threshold point when you're up against show and tell where you can't really afford to just tap yourself down. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be
Yeah.
able to keep your interaction up. Malfi is a little bit blessed where really his only interaction is going to be the Force of Wills and the one of Force Negation. So I guess you can afford to be tapping out, besides making it so Daze is suddenly a very good protection spell on Rax's side. But I'm not so sure what he's going to be going ahead and trying to do here.
Charbel, I bet you can tap out versus show and tell. Just show in a lure and kill you on the stack. Okay.
Carble, one of our resident Allurn players, was with us for the first 3 invitationals. Actually, the season 1 invitational champion, notorious on Allurn, and loves that matchup of show and tell versus Allurn. Because in case you didn't know, Allurn can be put in off of the show and tell. Who would have guessed?
Yeah. Very, very powerful.
So we see another brainstorm coming down on Malfi's third turn main phase. Really sculpting that hand. So at this point on Rax's side, Rax has to expect that Malfi has a good amount of interaction.
Yeah. Hmm. Malfi's really taking his time here, too.
This is the redemption match. Everything's
Oh,
on the
yeah.
line for Malfi right now. You got to make the correct choices.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, too, is it's the again, this is the lower bracket. Every match loss here eliminates someone. Oh, Caracas. Oh, that's so good.
Oh yeah, there is Caracas main board.
Ponder. Or sorry, preordain.
So we found the land that Malfi is not going to ever tap down. We
Yeah.
we will be keeping that up until you know that you are killing.
Yeah. Looks like it was top bottom draw card. Preordain once again showing us why it's better than Serum Visions. Ha ha ha.
Can I just fanboy for a moment and just talk about how impressive Rax's deck is for me? Every time I see Rax play, they've gained a couple more sign cards for this deck, and at this point, the deck is just honestly almost completely perfect.
Ooh.
It's gorgeous.
Also, I just want to say something too. Zach Stella, his signature is phenomenal. And that Force of Will feels really good for Malfi. Pitching Mist Hollow Griffin, i.e., not losing a card in hand.
Eternally, I can't actually tell.
If it is, it would be over the type line. Otherwise, no, it would not.
If I recall correctly, that artist typically does it over the box. I don't believe that's one of the type line artists. And it would also need to be a gold signed one as well for us not to be able to see it that
Yeah.
well, but
Nicola Leonard's signature is pretty large too.
substantial.
So
Yeah. It is quite loopy, if I recall correctly.
yeah. I actually really like the signature on that Ancient Tomb as well.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Ponder. Keep going here. So it looks like Rax either did not fight over the show and tell or does not have any more permission.
At the same time, I can imagine Rax having more permission and choosing to not fight over this one if Rax just has more show and tells in hand, right?
That is
Just
true.
damn it, eat a force of will, and then go for it again on the next turn. Because again, Malfi is not putting any pressure on. There isn't even a snake in play to start swinging in for one.
Yeah.
or
And we're getting a
or
shuffle
an
off of this
endurance or
ponder.
whatever.
Yeah, we're getting a shuffle off of this ponder.
So there are a good amount of dead cards, of course, for Malfi that he could be potentially hitting here. The prismatic endings are, for the most part, not great. Of course, you could spend it on a Lotus Petal, or because of the Birds of Paradise, you could spend it on a sneak attack. It turns out in this deck, that's
Yep.
that's the one upside of the Birds of Paradise here. Swords is live
Oh,
against specifically Grizzlebrand,
we
but
do have a burb,
ooh,
and
a
we have
burb.
Caracas back.
Ooh,
Ooh.
I
I
love
actually
it.
really like Malfi's position right now.
I still want pressure. Like, give me something on board.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is it. There is, like, this Ancient Tomb is the most significant pressure on this board state right now.
For real. Go ahead, do more damage to yourself.
Yeah.
Do
Go.
it.
Go.
Tap it 3 more times. You only get 1 Grizzlebrand activation, please.
And more cantrips. Okay.
This
So
has
that is
been the
cantrip number
game.
4 this game. Actually, this is cantrip number 4 for both players, I believe.
Yeah, this has been a game showcasing the cantrip cartel in Legacy.
Yes, absolutely. Malfi, I do not believe is on preordain. Rax, I think, is running the full cartel.
Why do you need preordain when you have Manipulate Fate? Manipulate Fate is just
That
such
is
better card
true.
advantage.
That is actually very true. So yes, I guess Malfi is also running the full 12. Or
Depends on
somewhere
what 12 we
close.
want to be talking about.
Yeah. Signature on the Ancient Tomb, say Malfi. Ooh, those are
Cities.
signed City of Traders.
Mm.
Oh. Ooh, nice silver signature there. There is a sneak attack paying 1 extra.
Force
Cast Force of
Pitch.
Will, pitch Ice Fan Codal.
And again, any dazes that are in Rax's hand
Oh,
are just completely dead.
no. Okay, so Rax is actually low on permission.
Well, 3 cards in hand at this point.
Yeah,
One of them has to be a payoff spell, because why would we be jamming the Show and Tell and the Sneak Attack with the red mana without it?
yeah,
Yeah, and it seems pretty clear that that there isn't Force of Will in there, and if there is, for some reason the other card isn't blue.
yeah.
Whether it's whatever, Simian Spirit Guide or whatever.
Cast
Those bird
Foodchain.
attacks look rather spiky now.
Yeah, bird attacks.
Dude, baby. I think Malfi dropped the hand for a second. Had to do the classic that we've all had to do. Put your head on the table underneath the camera as you're reaching down for the cards that fell.
Yeah. So looks like we are floating a mana, or is this an attack? So the food chain did resolve.
It's floating in mana. So we're
Floating a
putting in a 3
mana.
drop. For
Oh,
Uro, last card in
Uro.
hand.
Huh.
Gonna draw first, and then choose whether or not we Caracas bounce here. I don't think we're gonna Caracas bounce. I would kind of like it if we aren't hitting other lands here. Just
Yeah.
because you're not going to be able to. You need another greens, or I'm sorry, you need another mana source, essentially. Anything besides your planes in your deck, you need to be able to actually flash that back, or I'm sorry, escape it, and get it into play and have it be a clock. So I wouldn't mind a Caracas bounce here, but
Yeah. I
at the
can
same
get
time,
behind you
that's
as
scary.
well. Yeah, and this is it. Is Rax hasn't tried to protect any of these spells, so you have to imagine that there's just pure business in their hand.
Well, that's just it. Like, the threat of it alone is probably enough to keep the Caracas up. However, if we were just against any other random opponent, I would really like a Caracas bounce here.
Yeah.
Malfi really thinking about what exactly to do here. Looks like choosing to let it go to the graveyard.
Looks like it, but he's also not quite committed yet. Malfi
Well,
deep in
there's
the tank here.
sometimes playing afraid ends up making you lose the game, right? You make suboptimal plays that ends up losing you the long game. However, against Sneak and Show, I'm just always
Bounce.
afraid.
Bounce the Uro.
There we go. This is the line we talked about. No land coming in off the trigger. And
Yep.
Rax, this is your moment.
Yeah, if you have it, jam it now. Watch the 1 card in hand just be a force of will you can pitch Uro to. Looks like another Lotus Petal. Uh-oh. This is so much mana. 1,
It's a
2,
lot.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are a soul land away from just hardcast Omniscience, which we've seen already today.
All right, so here's the thing. Now we're untapping. We
Yeah.
have other land.
Oh.
Cast this Miss Hologryphon from exile right now. Be able to
Yeah.
hold up Caracas, start the loop, do a flashback off of Uro, and see what we can chain into.
Yeah. So because of this, once Malfi casts this Miss Hologryphon, if it resolves, Malfi will have infinite mana.
Infinite creature mana specifically.
Creature mana, yes. But this will allow him to play Uro, let it die, and then escape it immediately.
So Ghost was of note. The reason that Malfi wasn't able to exile to the Uro to get Griffin in play and go infinite at that moment is Foodchain on a single activation. It makes X of a single color. So because there was only one activation, Malfi could have made 4 green or 4. Oh wait, what am I talking about? That
No, you
that
could
wasn't
have
your
just
line.
exiled it to cast the Griffin out, but
But then you also lose Uro as your
didn't want
threat.
the Uro. And
Yeah.
I agree with Malfi that keeping the Uro here is good because you can just go infinite with the Griffin now, keep it around, and then Uro and escape Uro in the same turn.
All right. So I imagine we have to be going to cast the Miss Hologryphon here. Although it looks like we're setting up mana to cast the Uro instead.
You never know.
Oh, this is interesting.
Pay for Miss Hologryphon. Okay.
Sweet. Now we start looping.
Yeah.
Storm
Griffin.
count is a billion.
Yeah.
A trillion bajillion.
Here's the Uro.
We get to do a first trigger.
Draw. Let this Uro get sacrificed here, and then immediately escape it.
Yeah. And now we're at infinite life.
Oh, he bounces.
Or I'm sorry, not infinite life.
So
No,
he actually
interesting.
bounces it with the Caracas, gets it back now. I think he might just be trying to maximize the amount of draws he's getting. The other thing too is this. Oh my god. This is not an inconsequential amount of life that he's gaining. Like, this is multiple Emrakul attacks you're surviving through now.
Well, it's still 2 Emrakul attacks, but you're getting enough permanence that you aren't just strictly dead. Although also, technically you aren't dead to 2 Emrakul attacks because you can always block with Miss Hologryphon on the first one and exile it. But you're gonna lose your entire board even through 2 attacks at this point.
Yeah. And also here, with the third Snowland, this also means that any Ice Fang Kodos will be Death Touchers. So that means
And that can kill an
Grizzlebrand
Emrakul.
attacks- Yeah. Emrakul and Grizzlebrand attacks are now very unprofitable if we get a Kodal here.
Yeah, Chaotic Bear, this does take shields down, which is kind of committing to the line that Malfi made previously of assuming Rax didn't have it. So he tapped on the Caracas to be able to get more value off the Uro, basically setting up for this draw 3 that happened with the Uro being able to escape it. And when that happened, Rax just drew a card and passed back. So I really do not mind going and tapping the Caracas again just to get more value. Because you're basically just taking your chances of whether or not Rax rips either the other show and tell or the other sneak attack off the top.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too here, just as well, this life gain puts you at so much. You can more than likely, like, Rax would need to chain together some really, really disgusting cards in a row in a specific order to actually be able to put Malfi on the back foot from this position.
We're at 29 life. We drew 4 cards this turn. If any of them are Ice Fangs or things along those lines, we get to continue chaining a little bit. Yep, and that that Caracas is tapped. Let's make sure we keep that way.
Yep. 3 mana open. And this is also 9 power of creatures on board. This is a 2-turn clock. Rax needs business now.
And passing away.
Also needs to play Petty Theft. That way I can cross him off of bingo.
Again, I'm so happy we don't have you down being a spotter right now, Prez. Rex draws and goes into the tank immediately. Sets the hand down and starts to think. And just passes.
And just passes back.
This is not what you want to see.
No. Of note, too, the Caracas will allow more Uro loops now, if need be. So we get an attack trigger here. This is an attack for 9. This puts Rax down to 6, which means Grizzlebrand is no longer an out.
Yeah, I don't think you loop. I think you just keep this board state.
Yeah, I agree. I do like looping the Miss Hologriffin to give it pseudo vigilance.
Oh yeah, that's free though.
You just
but,
leave the Uro there though.
Yeah, exactly. Though the exact way that you lose this game is, I mean, honestly, even Emrakul attacking in isn't. I don't even know how you lose this game at this point.
No, you have so many cards. You literally just Emrakul attack. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Just let me you can tap that down, sacrifice 6 permanents.
Yeah.
But all right. Here's the way you lose. You lose if sneak attack comes in. Yes, exactly. Yeah. There's no omniscience. There's no omniscience in this deck.
Oh, there's 2 in the sideboard, not in the main board. So because this is game 1, that is not an out.
Exactly. The way you lose is sneak attack into Emrakul attack, and then sneak attack into Grizzlebrand to block on the turn, and then maybe that's how you lose. But
of note here too, as well, you were mentioning when you were thinking about how this game is gonna go. If Malfi manages to take game 1, oh, that's so bad for Rax.
Oh, Ghost, yeah, you're not gonna gain life off of that. You're just gonna have a blocker. And MTG Paper Legacy, our streamer that we have, Mr. Jack Dax, unfortunately, even sneaking in both your legendary threats is not going to kill how much life has been gained.
Yeah. Even if you gain 7 life back up to 13, you're still in a rough spot. Oh, here's a Murktide.
Is this Murktide
just going to be a 3/3?
Okay. I love it. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, paying full retail for a Murktide Regent, no delve. Just 3/3 flyer. This is Miss Hologriffin number 4 or 5.
Except way worse.
Yeah.
All right, we finally hit a cantrip off of Rax's side. So again, what do we need right here? Is it sneak attack? Sneak attack, pop 1 Lotus Petal for Emrakul attack, then sneak attack on Malfi's turn after attack with Grizzlebrand, to block? Is that the only way we win here?
I think it is literally you need to sneak attack.
No, it doesn't matter. There's Caracas up anyway.
Yeah, and even then the Caracas will just bounce anything anyway. Yeah, a miracle. That's a good point, Corey.
Rax, unfortunately, we saw Rax in this position where Rax had to jam multiple times, but with no protection. We never saw a Force of Will for protection on Rax's side, and Malfi did a really great job playing around Daze at every single point. Daze was never a live card at any point besides taxing a single mana source. Man, a really, really interesting game. And again, completely unexpected for us. We went into this game 1 expecting to see Rax take it down. Malfi, without a lot of his points of interaction, and the primary game plan, the mid-range game plan, really not good in this matchup. But, Force of Will gets there. Force of Will stopping the 2 payoff cards was quite good.
Yep.
You wanna go into the sideboard?
Yeah, so we got Malfi's up on screen right now. So we got 2 copies of Carpet of Flowers, 2 copies of Veil of Summer, 1 Collector Oof, 1 Flusterstorm, 1 Meddling Mage, 1 copy of Sylvan Library, which I believe is the only one in the entire list. 2 Containment Priests, 2 copies of Endurance, 1 Foundation Breaker, 1 Peacekeeper, and the Solitude. I absolutely love Solitude in this matchup, being a instant speed way to actually exile an Emrakul. This card does not count as a colored spell. It counts as a colored permanent when you are exiling Emrakul.
So, there's a lot of live cards in this sideboard.
A lot.
Peacekeeper's a live card in this sideboard. You can just get that into play and make it so you can't attack with the Grizzlebrand or the Emrakul until you set up and combo through that.
Containment Priest is live.
Yes, eternally surprised. That would be. I had to stop and read that while talking. I'm just like, oh, is that relevant? Kinda. But I really like Meddling Mage here. I really like the Containment Priest. I like Flusterstorm a lot. I think we can bring in Veil of Summer if we have enough rooms. Again, Solitude is an absolute keep in. You could bring in Foundation Breaker if you're really worried about the Blood Moon plan. I don't think you need to be with how many basics you have and your Birds of Paradise. So I personally wouldn't be bringing that in, considering all the other bangers that you have in the matchup. It's just good.
There are actually no Blood Moons in Rax's list.
Oh my goodness, I just assumed. I'm so used to
Nope.
being to everyone getting Blood Moon by Sneak and Show. So yeah, then Foundation Breaker is absolutely not coming in. So again, Solitude, Peacekeeper, Meddling Mage, Containment Priest, Flusterstorm, and potentially Veil of Summer are all cards I really like bringing in.
Yeah.
Um,
Looks like we're having trouble finding Rax's list there on screen. But anyway, we got 2 copies of Flusterstorm, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer, 2 Red Elemental Blast, 2 Abrade, 1 Defense Grid, 2 Pyroclasm, and 2 copies of Omniscience. You absolutely need the Omnisciences in this matchup.
I think you want the Omnisciences. I'm not so sure you absolutely need it. I think when you're on the play, I want to be jamming and just getting there. So I can see the defense grid coming as, especially when we're expecting our opponent to be going down on prismatic endings. I think the Flusterstorms are absolutely live, again, because we're just trying to jam through our points of interaction. However, at the same time, Red Elemental Blast is potentially just better than that. Um, it's always the interesting thing with, and again, for the audience, just so we're clear, this list that's up on screen is actually 10 size list. Unfortunately, we don't seem to have the graphic for racks at the moment. We'll go ahead and try to get that fixed relatively soon. But just for right now, while we're talking about the list, this is not the sideboard plan, or this is not the actual list. I don't really like bringing in Ragavan in this matchup at all. I don't want to be grinding in any sort of way.
Yeah,
My
there we go. We grab
mentality.
Rax's list. This is Rax's list
Awesome!
here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jack Dax. Now, this is it. As you can see, there are Simian Spirit Guides. We don't have the Ravagan Monkeys main board. We have the Simian Spirit Guide Monkeys main board. The big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me and my perception of how we play this, we, especially when we're on the play, we're just all about protecting and jamming.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I don't want to be bringing in Ravagans. I don't want to be bringing in Pyroclasms, whatever. I just want to be forcing things through as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, the Flusterstorms. I still like the Rebs just because that they can put the Miss Hollows in the graveyard.
Yeah,
But
and as protection pieces, right? The points of
yeah,
interaction that you really need to worry about is the counter spells, but of course this is also open. So containment priest is the issue. So the question is for Rax right here: do you bring in the Abrades specifically because you know of the 2 containment priests?
I
Again, these are
actually
open
like
deck
the
lists.
Abrades in this particular matchup because of that.
I mean,
Um,
it's the only thing that you really want to hit, to be honest. So it's all a matter of, do I feel like I can dodge it and not have these dead cards, or do I want to just keep them in and have these potentially dead cards if Containment Priest doesn't come up? It's really it's a gamble. It's whichever line that you want to take and whichever one that you think is going to have the better payout for you.
yeah, exactly. So it looks like we're going to be starting off here. Rax on a mulligan to 6, but on the play for game 2. So we're going to go fetch into a Valk and Ponder. So this is exactly where you want to be if your sneak and show is just cantripping on the first couple turns of the game.
Dig, dig, dig.
Shuffle. That's not what you want to see. Draw a card and then pass turn. So this is going to be Malfi's first turn here. And then we got Vista, and then I imagine that'll probably just be it unless we're going to go for a cantrip. Or maybe a bird. Oh, we are fetching. I was wrong. So we'll see which color Malfi commits to. Commits to blue, so this is more than likely a cantrip here.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the only potential things that we would see happening are uh, when we're fetching is either going into Ponder, more than likely Ponder or Brainstorm, potentially. I can't imagine we will, though. Or going and fetching and getting the Forest for the Bird. There is some thought about keeping it up if you do have access to Flusterstorm right now, and just basically out of fear of the turn 2 slam it on Rax's side. But Malfi's choosing to go with that main phase Brainstorm right now, which is really interesting. Also, that we're seeing it now instead of in Rax's turn.
Yeah. I actually can see that being very good, especially if you're expecting the defense grid to come in, which I think is a reasonable card to
But
expect to see.
but if defense grid comes in, you can still just onto it, right?
Yeah, you can respond to the defense grid, but I think it's just you're getting the brainstorm in now, so is that way you're not forced to do it later? I don't know, but
Yeah, it's
we'll find
interesting.
out.
Regardless, it's and again, this is splitting hairs, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Ooh, that's another really nice signature too. Oh,
Oh,
that's
that is
altered, it looks
gorgeous.
like, as well. Ooh. Rax, if you watch this video, I want a picture of that flooded strand.
Rax with all the bling. Oh my goodness. I'm in love with this deck. We just need to get
Yeah,
some Sharpie marks on that volcanic island.
there you go. So we got fetch land here. So Malfi probably just did that anyway, just, I don't know, maybe to get it out. But yeah, it looks like we had the fetch land, we had the mana, so we're just gonna keep going from here.
Our poor resident Doc. Absolutely, Jeremy. Looks like we're fetching for Savannah. Have access to all of our colors of mana now.
Yep, and
And
Ponder.
here comes the Ponder now. So that brainstorm got to do a partial, like a half perfect brainstorm, right? Get to shuffle away a single card there. Now this Ponder's getting to look at a fresh 3. Malfi choosing what exactly wants to happen with it.
Mm-hmm. Dayrex, thank you very much for the follow. Much appreciated.
So, Prez, real quick, while we're kind of going through all these cantrips, if I was new to the MTG Paper Legacy Discord, if I saw what was happening here on the Twitch stream and I wanted to get involved with it, how could I do that?
So if you put !Discord into the Twitch chat here, that'll get you a link where you can come and join the Discord. We're right up against 2,700 people that have been playing on our server here over webcam from the safety of your own home. It's a great time. We have monthly leagues. We have challenges every weekend. We have a quarterly invitational. We have fight nights every couple Tuesdays or so. Again on stream. It's just a great place to go, and then otherwise just talk Magic all the time. And there are people in the LFG channel looking for games 24 hours a day. If you want to play Paper Legacy, this is the place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And the really cool thing to talk about, I love doing this pitch right now because we're about to go into a fresh new invitational season. So if you want to get on that grind and try to get into season 5 3 months from now, you absolutely can do so. Jump in. Tomorrow we have our first EU tournament of the season. It happens Sunday morning EU time, Saturday night if you're in North America. And then those happen bi-weekly, and we also have the weekly NA ones, which will start up next week, Saturday. So it's a fantastic time to jump in if you want to get your feet wet. Try out this webcam magic, which I gotta say, I'm pretty biased. I've really fallen in love with it.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I know in my case as well, I live in a remote area. My nearest local game store is a 2.5 hour drive away. I love this place. No bias.
So both players have just been cantripping a little bit. Rax went ahead and did the end of turn brainstorm and chose not to do the perfect shuffle, which is a scary thing if you're on Malfi's side.
Yeah.
Rax went ahead and drew the card, played another fetch land, and so really just shuffled away one card in essence.
Yeah. Yeah, when you have fetch lands and your opponent doesn't crack them after a brainstorm, you gotta be worried.
That is what we call a position of power.
Yeah, there's a lot of gas in that person's hand.
So you see
In-step
Ice Fang coming
total.
down. Now,
And again,
now this is a clock.
Yeah.
This is a clock.
We are also one snow permanent away from Death Touch,
Yeah.
which is not as big a deal given this board state against an Emrakul, but a huge deal versus a Grizzlebrand.
I'll be honest, if I'm on Malfi's side, I'm probably just starting to jam in and chip away. Especially because of how Malfi's setup is. I really wouldn't be surprised if Malfi took out the Walking Ballista and just really committed to the mid-range aspect, or basically playing the control deck version of this.
Foodchain.
See it. That good old control plan and just start swinging with the 3/3s.
Does Rax have counter magic? Yes, Rax does.
So this tells us that
Force
there's
of
no
will,
days.
exiling Witch. But yeah, I do agree. This screams no days to me. Ooh, Pitch's Omniscience.
Omniscience did come in.
That's rough.
Yeah, not what Rax wants to be pitching.
No.
This is really good for Malfi. In the next turn, you're really not punished by not playing around days. Like, there's the chance that Rax spikes it off the top, but...
Draw, go. Oof. And also, with Rax not cracking this flooded strand, that almost seems to me that Rax probably has a sneak attack in hand and is looking for the 4th mana to cast it and doesn't want to pull a land out of the deck.
You know, we always like to joke how thinning really isn't a thing, but
Yeah.
you'd be amazed how often as you're playing, you're like making your choices based off of thinning. Just like, oh, this changes the odds, technically. All right, we see Uro come down. Gonna go ahead and gain that 3 life, get a little bit of a cantrip in. Honestly,
Up to
even if I
21.
expect Raxes on days, I still would be jamming that here more than likely.
Yeah. And 23 life also is the magic number to survive one attack from an Emrakul and a Grizzlebrand in the same turn.
The Eternally Surprised asking, does his streamed matches that he just played that last round count towards the bingo cards? You know, I'm just going to say you were there. You witnessed it. So, like, who's to say you didn't have your bingo card off to the side checking it off?
Yeah.
How did the Eternal Scourge...
And also,
to
answer your question, because you were
size?
just... Sorry, Eternally Surprised, to answer your question, because you were just on stream, yes, your match does count. The match right before this one that we commentated on.
Malfi also showing this sign of power. We neglected to mention this. On the last turn, Malfi, after he cast the Uro, discarded an Eternal Scourge to hand size.
Yeah, doesn't need that. Although, to be fair, actually, I really like Eternal Scourge there because that gives your graveyard a bump up in size, and it gives you a free card to escape Uro with.
Oh yeah, we talked about last match just how great Uro is specifically in this deck. Besides being this amazing fair deck killer, right? You also have a way to exile all of your recursive threats, your Mist Hologriffins and your Eternal Scourge if they end up in the graveyard. Previously, the old Foodchain decks used to play Trinket Mage to either go and get Ballista or to be able to get Relic to relic yourself in this way. But we're seeing Meddling Mage come down.
Ooh, what do you name here? Oh. Do you name Show and Tell or do you name Sneak Attack?
I would name Sneak Attack personally, but let's see.
It's
name Sneak Attack.
Yeah. I actually agree. Sneak Attack sounds a bit better here.
Well, if there was a Show and Tell, Rax would have jammed it already. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh, there's the green source. This gives Death Touch and casts an Uro. Oh, God.
Flash it back. Do it. Do it. I'm sorry, not flash it back, escape it. It's all the same thing. What's the old argument that every magic mechanic is just kicker? It's just some variation of kicker. For me, every single card is a variation of flashback, which is of essence a form of kicker. So yes, we are going to flash back this Uro.
Oh, it looks like maybe he changed his mind. Huh.
So are we just holding up multiple points of interaction, like holding up Flusterstorm and potentially Veil?
I would assume so. Like you're if you're in Malfi's position, you're in no rush. Like, and if you know that there's Flusterstorms coming in, that Flusterstorm would be extremely good at fighting right now. Ice Fang Kodal. Okay.
Nick.
Let's get a clock. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
You know, one snake, not very powerful. 3 snacks, very powerful.
Yeah. Oh, Eternally you have bingo? Okay, if you have bingo, what you need to do is you need to go over to the Discord and then you need to post it, the screenshot of your bingo. Let's see here. Let's post that in...
Post it in general, yeah.
Yeah, why not? General.
Spending a Force of Will on a Pyroblast that was being thrown at a snake. What is going on?
Smash.
Just seeing a Mist Hologriffin, of course, with the Force of Will. There is so much interaction in Malfi's hand. It's not even funny.
Oh my gosh. Fetch down to 10.
And now it's a 2-turn clock. Okay. Rax, you got to do this.
Yeah, this is an attack for 5. Do not blast Sneck, indeed. Yeah, that is a good point. The Reb was targeting the Meddling Mage. Okay, never mind.
Before the second trial. Okay, that makes sense. Honestly, I just thought it happened in sequence. I'm just like, things are happening.
This might be a bingo for me.
That's an adventure. Is it an adventure or are we just casting it? It's a bounce. That is a bingo for Prez BOTW. That is a creature being going. You better get that in the Discord real quick before Eternally Surprised posts his bingo. Rigged.
Kaboom.
All right, so of note, technically it's just one turn clock at the moment, unless a meddling mage resolves again, which I have to imagine we're going to try to put that in.
Yeah. Of note too, we also have an Uro that we can put into play.
Kinda. Our mana's a little bit too tasked. We also have access to a Mist Hologriffin right now to cast.
Oh yeah, there was one pitch to the Force of Will.
Yeah.
Oh.
So no matter what, we have another body in play that is going to be making it threatening 2-turn lethal.
Yeah.
I imagine we're just going to play the Meddling Mage, though, because it both threatens the 2-turn lethal and will be able to turn off the sneak attack again if it resolves. Does it resolve? It resolves. Naming.
Meddling Mage number 2.
No, it's the same Meddling Mage. You got bounced.
Back to town.
Yeah.
Right. Or back to hand. Back to town. Goodness gracious.
I'm using that saying from now on. I'm bouncing that back to town. Name sneak attack again.
Yeah, I think that's a safe name. If it was holding them back beforehand, then it'll keep holding them back now. Man, that Uro in the graveyard just not even mattering. Of note here too, this Brazen Borrower is not going to be able to block the Meddling Mage.
Yeah, it can only trade with the snake, which is not a good feeling. Show and tell.
Here we go.
All right,
looks like Malfi's just letting this go.
No way.
Pulling the cards back. You can't let this resolve.
So many of the plays up until this point were telling us that Malfi was just stacked on interaction.
Unless this is just a Caracas.
Let's see it.
And also, excellent play from both players. When a show and tell resolves, you put the card face down. That way, you determine which card it is before your opponent gets to see. Right? So now both cards have been laid down. They both come in at the same time. Grizzlebrand, Miss Hologriffin. Okay. So here's a Grizzlebees. You're at exactly 7 though, Rax. Unfortunately, you can't gain any life here, or you can't draw any cards.
I mean, you can draw the cards. You'll just die to state-based action first. You can pay that cost.
That is true.
All right, so use attack with snakes.
So the thing is that if you attack with the snakes, Rax will go up to 14. Even though Rax will lose.
Oh yeah, you can't do that.
There's a Caracas.
That's the game, unfortunately.
Bounce. And down to 0.
7 response.
Oh,
Rax doing it going out in the most polite way possible.
Yeah,
some people die to their fetch land.
Rematch, the chance for redemption, and pulls it off.
This was a really fantastic match. Massive props to Rax. Rax has been in every single invitational for literally a year now.
Missed the third one, unfortunately.
Oh, that's right. It was so close.
They were right on the cusp, but unfortunately was not able to make it in.
But Rax has been a really active player in this Discord for over a year now, and really showing us just how prolific they are on all these various decks. Rax, fantastic run in this invitational as well. Incredibly well-deserved. Fantastically played. Malfi is going to have to go back, though. Got the redemption, and now has to face this exact same matchup again at the hands of Tensai to see if he's going to be able to go all the way to face Dalibor in the final match.
Yeah. We did see Pyroclasms come in.
Interesting. So that may be the way that Rax chose to try to deal with Containment Priest if it was going to resolve instead of the Abrade that we had previously talked about.
Yeah.
But man, this was a fantastic match. For all of you here watching us here, again, ! Discord is your way to get a link to join us in our Discord. Come jam games with us, play in our monthly leagues, play our weekly tournaments. And I'm going to be out now for the rest of the day. I will be leaving. The one and only Dr. Leah will be coming back. Who's going to go ahead and stream this lower bracket final for you with Prez, and then the two of them will go ahead and do this final one for you as well. Thank you all so much for letting me join you here today. Prez, as always, it's great to get to commentate with you, my man. You got anything you want to say to the people before we get on out of here?
No, thanks so much for hanging out with us. And we got a 10-minute break, and then we will continue on with this slog of the Invitational. So thanks so much for hanging out.
Take care, fam. And as always, let us be your local meta.
Yeah.